Qualk Show, and happy Saturday night. On tonight's show, we are talking all about co-parenting during and after separation or divorce. We're also absolutely thrilled to have Candice Green back on the show tonight. Candice,
that's me.
That's Candice. Candice owns the hugely popular The Barretts, spelled B-E-R-R-E-T-T-S on YouTube show. But as you've noticed, also goes by Green. Candice is going to shed some light on her story and what she's been going through, separation, impending divorce, all that amazing fun stuff, from her other kids, the kid's other mother, and how she is going to co-parent going forward. And how do you co-parent when the hurt is so fresh and you have to move on together in the best interests of the children? Candice is also a teacher, so we're going to pick her brain a little bit on how she or other parents of students that she's had in her class deal with the whole divorce and separation thing, and how things are handled, like school notes, home field trips, and all the daily things that happen in every child's life. I mean, there's constantly stuff going on. And I also forgot to announce Amanda Kendall last show. Completely my bad. I'm old. That's my only excuse. Like, I'm real old, So my memory's going. But Amanda was recently featured, her and her family, in Gay Parent magazine. And she has so many other projects on the go, including her Queer as Butch page that you can check out. Lots more videos by her. And she has taken our videos to the next level. She's an integral part of the Qualk Show. And we're thrilled that she's a regular cast member. So welcome to everyone. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our exclusive Qualkie Talkie members are in for some horror stories tonight, I hope. We are keeping Candice for the second half hour, and we will be having a gay old time reminiscing about some of our first dating nightmares. And I know that I have a few, and I'm assuming that everybody else does, especially Candice and Hallie, who have both recently been thrown back into the pool a little bit. And we want all the juicy details. Well, not so much the good, but definitely the bad and the ugly. Hallie, how do people sign up to be a Qualkie Talkie member so that they don't miss this gong show in the second half?
So there's an amazing tutorial. There is both a written and a video tutorial of how to become a Qualkie Talkie member. Just go to the Facebook page of The Qualk Show. You have to put The Qualk Show. There's amazing tutorials on how to sign up, and it will get you to the places that you need to be.
Yeah, it's going to get me to Hawaii. That little portal is going to get me to Hawaii. Let's get rolling with hot flashes. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner are still living on the same property in order to make co-parenting easier after their divorce. And my question to the panel tonight is, would you ever consider still living in the same space just for the sake of the kids?
I've heard of people doing that before. That, I don't know how,
Right?
how in the world. I mean, I give them props for doing that. That's impressive, but I don't know how to do that. Because if you think about it,
Yeah.
you're essentially, I mean, I don't like the term babysitting. We're essentially parenting the kids while your spouse goes out to sleep with other people, and how you don't
Comes
get
home,
jealous.
has a shower,
And you see them get dressed up and excited, and the new clothes they buy or the new gifts they receive, and to be front and personal with that, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, even the most unjealous woman in the world, and even if you're over that relationship, you still don't want it thrown in your face that anybody's doing anything else. You just kind of like to have blinders to that, right?
Exactly.
We actually live with the kids' dad still as well. We're all roommates.
Wow.
Like, we are like best friends, and he calls Elizabeth sis.
Amanda drops a bomb on the show.
Wow.
So, I mean, we all co-parent together, and
Did you hear that correctly?
Not even supposed to be on tonight's show.
That's what I'm going. Goodbye.
well, I mean, I had to save the good stuff type shows, right?
I love it. I love it. Explain. So, and it just works for you guys.
It does, and like we are planning, like Elizabeth and I, to move and have our own place.
Yeah.
But I want to be financially ready to be able to do that. And at the same time, when we do move, we realize we're going to be taking the kids away from him. Like right now, it works. That's every other night. He has our 2.5-year-old.
Has he started dating someone new?
He is dating somebody new.
And
So
you like her?
I haven't met her yet.
Okay. That's
but
probably a good idea on his part.
No,
Bring it into that female estrogen pit to get
She
judged
actually, she knows the situation, and I think it's easier when he's like, my ex-wife is gay, and they're like, oh, well, that's easy.
Can't compete with that. I love it. I love it. Hallie, what about you?
I mean, I think that is for sure what's best for the children. My daughter always says that she wishes that we could all live in the same house.
Yeah.
Mommy having her side, Mommy and Roxy having her side, Mama having her side. Like in my daughter's world, that would be the perfect world.
Yeah.
But I mean, and honestly, I would totally not mind. We do live fairly close. We live within 2 miles of each other. So it helps for as far as like childcare is concerned.
Yeah.
But it would be weird. It would definitely be weird.
I think it would depend on the situation. Like I have ex-girlfriends who I haven't been with for a really long time where we're really just like sisters. There's no hurt feelings. There's no chemistry. There's no nothing. You're just like family kind of, at this point. And I think that would probably work in that situation. But I have other exes I probably wouldn't cross the street to spit on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at this point, my ex and I have been divorced for 2 years now. So as of now, absolutely. I would live next door to her on a compound in a minute. Like I would never share a roof with her.
For sure.
But if you would have asked me that 6 months out, fuck that bitch.
Yeah, for sure. Fucking Tarzan slashed.
Right.
Eldest daughter of Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, Rumor Willis, recalls her parents coming together for family vacations and birthdays, and that made their divorce, in her words, more digestible. Would you be able, and this is kind of goes along with question number one, but would you realistically be able to put your own feelings aside to present a family unit to your kids, especially on special occasions, birthdays, things of that nature, when everybody wants to be involved?
We are going to try to do that. I mean, granted, we're freshly separated and not even legally divorced yet, of course. Yeah. But when we talk about, we plan on going to Quinn's first day of preschool together, and we plan on going to, we'll talk about in the future the parent-teacher conferences together. And I don't know how many of the trips or vacations, but birthdays, definitely. And I've heard of some couples who will do Christmas morning together. I don't know if we would do that, but I think for most of the occasions, Tucker's birthday is next month, and we plan, if we're talking, we plan on doing that together also.
Yeah, well, it's a constant, delicate conversations and things of that nature to move it along, right?
We didn't do Quinn's birthday together, and that was more my fault. I wasn't ready for that.
You can't do fault on that, because Casey, after our divorce, Casey's first birthday was completely separate. She had her family party, I had my family party.
That's what we did.
And we even had, and it was hard because we have a lot of mutual friends, but we had separate friend parties. Like, it was not a cohesive unit. We gave it, another year, and it was definitely easier. And now, we're planning Disneyland trips together, and it's, give it 2 years and we are in a much better space. So, and I've learned that we're awesome co-parents. We were not awesome as being spouses, but we're awesome as co-parents.
Yeah. I have to say, for the last 2 days, I think things are going to be much better for my situation. I think that we turned a leaf 2 days ago, and I think we'll be in a much better place to do that stuff.
Where the healing can start a little bit more, the healing can start.
It was a moment for us, for my ex-wife and I, that we had to go through that moment, and now we're on the same page, and now everything's golden. And before that, it was not pretty, and it was not nice, and it was terrible.
It can't be nice in the beginning. There's very few from the beginning nice lesbian breakup. We are two women. I mean,
Right? We go for
we
the
are
jugular.
emotional. We are vengeful. We are, and even if we never do anything, it all goes through our mind of what we could do and what we should do and what we want to do. And I mean, it takes time, but it is definitely possible.
It's so different because mine was not a breakup with a woman; it was a man.
Yeah.
And I mean, we definitely see like the family holidays we want to do together, and like the birthdays and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Selfishly,
But yours is still kind of new, though, right, Amanda?
It is, but the thing is it's not, but it is.
Yeah.
Like we kind of
new, but it has maturity.
Years ago.
I can see that almost like if he really accepts the fact that this woman that I love is really truly gay and she's now happy and in herself and all this stuff, then because it's like there's just nothing, it's not his fault. Like he can maybe understand, like I just there's nothing I can do. So we can still be friends. And
he's like, I just don't have the right pieces.
When the passion is gone, right, on both aspects, there's not that like, oh, I'm like her. Like Elizabeth and I will be affectionate with him around, and he's like, get a room. Like we're totally like we're friends, but like selfishly for the vacations, we had 14 years as a family. I want just Elizabeth and the kids and I to have our vacations.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
that's totally understandable.
Yeah. And every relationship is its own dance. Every separation is its own dance. Some things are important to some people that are meaningless to others. And
and it also depends on how it ends. Like my ex-wife and I just ended on the fact that we just weren't compatible. Like it just wasn't going to work. Like she wanted something different in life than I wanted. And that sucked, but it's okay. But when there's like cheating, I'm not saying, anybody else, but when there's cheating or infidelity or any other things, that brings some spite and malice.
Right.
A lot harder. So when it comes to the stepkids and when people have moved on, whether it's you or your spouse, Jada Pinkett Smith considers her greatest accomplishment in this life is her ability to help raise her stepson, Trey, who was Will Smith's son from his first marriage with Cherie Zampino. She considers that the greatest accomplishment of her life, being able to be a good co-parent or step-parent to him. How much of the harmony of a divorce or separation is dictated by the new partner of either parent?
Whew, that is a tough question. I'm curious what you think about that.
That's 1,000%, because sorry, ex-wife, but when we first got divorced, she started dating right away, and I did, and that person met my child before I did, and I was not okay with that because it was very fast, and it was not okay with me, and we had to set new rules and new boundaries, and it's better now, and that person isn't even in the picture at all, and my ex-wife is engaged, and I love the person that she's with, but step parents are hard. It's hard to release that parent control over to somebody that you don't intimately know.
I remember as a kid seeing my mom hold my stepdad's hand for the first time, and it making me so uncomfortable and sad. And there's a part of your heart that breaks because that hope, that the childlike hope that your parents are going to get back together, kind of ends when you see that intimacy even a little for the first time. I'm taking the parenting class soon. We have to, in Utah, in order to get divorced, you have to take a parenting class.
It's a good class
with your ex-spouse, and the parenting class is going to be talking about, they suggest that you shouldn't introduce the kids to a new love interest for 6 months to a year.
How funny. That's our rule is 6 months. My ex-wife and I have a 6 month rule.
3 months. We have a 3 month rule.
It's interesting, but it affected me as a kid, and I know my kids are younger, but even still there's a part of me that thinks I don't want them to get attached to someone if it's not going to be serious either. And that's if I'm dating somebody too. I've gone on dates, and I won't introduce the kids to those people until.
Oh, absolutely. No, I was actually just talking with somebody today about the fact that I realized my last relationship was fueled a lot by the fact that my daughter knew that person, and my daughter had a relationship with that person. And even though maybe parts of it didn't feel right for me because my daughter had the relationship with them. I felt that I had to push and continue and try to co-parent with this person when it was for my kid, not for myself. So I totally get it. I'm 1,000% on the 6-month rule.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, I agree. So
especially in lesbian world.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, 6 months in lesbian is like a good 2 years, right? So
right,
you're like you've moved on to a different phase of your life, basically, by then.
Right, you already have a dog together.
Yeah, exactly. So, and when it comes to relationships, unfortunately, over 50% of marriages, as everybody knows, in today's day and age, end in divorce. And now that we finally have the right to get married and have kids and all the things that we've always wanted, we also have to take part in the sorrow and the shitty things when those relationships end or the family unit can't stay together for whatever reason. And the divorce happens. We all hope to react in the best interests of the children, but we're human. And we're still hurting. And these moments, we're hurting in these moments, and rationale is really hard to come by when you're a woman and you're in that moment. So how do we put that smile on so our kids don't see our pain? How do we co-parent our kids through real life with school and boyfriends and hobbies and all the little to big decisions we help make for our kids every day? And finally, how do we communicate effectively so that our children's lives are as seamless as possible? There's a lot going on there, but I mean,
there's like 87 questions in that, Carol. Calm down.
There's a lot of stuff that we need to get
like
to, Hallie.
Questions.
We are helping people. We need to get this information out there.
Honestly, one of the things that I want to jump on right off the bat is I hid all of my own identity struggles from my children, thinking I was protecting my kids.
Yeah.
And found out that I wasn't. And now I raise them to say, if your dad and I are bitching at each other, well, don't you and your brother bitch at each other?
Yeah.
We're just humans. You know, it happens. But guess what? You need to apologize for it. You need to make it right. And I feel like in Candice's situation, she's hurting, so she's going to cry. And I think her children, it's absolutely healthy that they see that and they understand that, you know, she's hurting, but they don't need to know the details. They don't need the adult information.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I feel
absolutely. No, I totally agree with that.
Smile.
Especially because like when my ex-wife and I were in the process of deciding that divorce was the ultimate end game.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And I was trying to hide those feelings from my daughter because I am not an emotion showing person. I do not show when I cry. And it was definitely hard for my daughter to realize that I was crying and that what the reason was and how much damage that actually did to her, lying to her about why I was crying.
Yep.
And how much I had to go back and tell her, you know, when Mama said that it was the pollen and my allergies that were making me cry, it was actually because Mama and I were fighting, and I'm sorry, but that's just what it is.
Yeah.
I think we don't cripple our children. I think they grow up to realize, you know what, this is a tough world and we lean on each other, right? Like if you and your partner are having a hard time, they need to know as at their maturity level, right?
Yeah.
Of what they can understand, you know, is we're having a hard time. And just like when you and brother have a hard time, you know, we got to work it out. And that's how I think if we present our children that way. So yeah, put on a smile when you're out to the world. But I think being honest with your children, don't burden them, but absolutely involve them in the life too. Let them go through the emotions with you.
Yeah. I agree with that totally. My and I know it sounds weird, but my daughter has been one of my biggest supports through everything. And she's so sensitive and she notices little things. And you know, I talk in one of my videos about I was watching a movie and this scene came on of the Ladies Pavilion in New York, and that's where we had gotten married. And just seeing it made me I just started crying and I couldn't even control it. And
was that when you were at Disneyland?
No, it was, I was just watching a movie at home and it came on the screen. So anyway, she noticed, she turned and saw, I wasn't audibly crying. I just had tears coming down. She just immediately scooped in and curled into me and grabbed my face and said, I make mama happy. And I hugged her and said, baby, you always make mama happy. Oh, she's so
her
special.
heart.
What a sweetheart.
And I know it's impossible for me to hide it sometimes. And I don't want her to think it's her making me sad. I want her to know it's her making me happy.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And that if she wasn't there to give you those moments of happiness, that, you know, then mommy would be really sad. But you make me so happy that you're here, that it helps.
Well,
mommy, you know,
it's so hard when our kids are so young. I mean, like, I know Amanda, what's your oldest?
13.
13, yeah.
13. Okay, so 13, you know, they're fairly old. I know that, you know, mine's 6. Candice's kids are 3 and 1. So they're much younger, and it's so hard to try to balance that line of letting them understand, but not putting too much of an adult emotion on such a small child.
Right. Yeah. Is it easier to co-parent if the new person isn't involved on either side? Like, is it easier to move on and co-parent that way? Because the biggest thing is that there's this other person in your child's life, and without that extra stress, then you can actually successfully co-parent.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Yeah, no, I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Like, basically, is it tougher to co-parent with your ex when they have a new partner?
Honestly, I think.
Okay. Like the influence of the other person.
Yeah, and just, you know, any hurt feelings and different things like that, and just makes it a little bit easier to co-parent when neither partner has anybody else they're seeing or anybody else involved in your child's life.
Well, and I'll be honest, even though I haven't been dating anyone, I still have people in my ear all the time. So there'll be times when I think I'm standing up for the kids and me because somebody has told me something, and then I have to rethink about, okay, what's better for, I need to think about my, you know, I have a hard time saying ex. I know it's new, my former, whatever. But I still have to think about her and be considerate of her. And people that are in my ear are just thinking of me, essentially, you know? And so.
Which is good, though. I mean, it's good because you definitely, Candice, seem like a person that thinks about everybody in the world, not necessarily yourself. So it's good. It's good to have people on your team, but I also 1,000% understand that you have to deal with this person for the rest of your life.
Right.
It's not even the next 18 years. Like, you're going to have to go to the same wedding. You're going to have the same grandchildren. Like, you have to deal with this person forever. So you have to figure out how to make this work. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm going to pick the teacher side of you then, because, well, both, because you've seen it and now potentially are living it with your kids not quite in the school age yet. But, you know, going forward for you and for everybody else on the panel that's been in the same situation, who's okaying field trips? Who's signing disciplinary notes? Do you attend parent-teacher conferences together, or do you go separately? How does that look for you guys?
For me as a teacher, it's really sad how many of my students don't have fathers in their lives, honestly. And how much, you know, they've got single working moms. I teach at a Title I school, so we're kind of a poverty level school. I say kind of, we're very much a poverty level school. And so we have a lot of our students don't have father figures in their lives, or have not so great father figures in their lives who aren't financially helping. And every once in a while I'll have kids during parent-teacher conference that both parents come in separately. I don't want to do that, though. I know that my former wife and I have some difficulty in some ways, but in other ways we care so much about our kids. I want to be able to do that stuff with her so that we can work as a team.
It's so important.
And pick the same chores for the kids to do, and pick the same, expectations. And if you see mom and dad, for example, in parent-teacher conferences, sometimes I see mom and mom, but most of the time you see mom and dad, and you can tell that one of them has some priority with the kid, and the other one has, I want the athletics, and as long as you can get on the football team because you have a high enough score, or as long as you can, But I think it's important, even just watching the parents together that are still together, watching them co-parent their kid together and having the different expectations at the same time working together with that kid. It's better than having the kid feel like they're pulled in two different directions.
I agree. Amanda, you're not always, you've said yourself tonight that you're not always going to be living in the same house. So how much of that is going to, I mean, when one of your kids gets in trouble at school, are you going to always discuss it, or are you just going to handle it? When some stuff comes up for field trips or hobbies or different things like that, do you defer to anybody, or?
We homeschool, and here's the thing.
Yeah.
But we can flip this question because it's totally usable.
100%.
We make the decision as 3 parents to homeschool every year, and I did it for 10 years, and then Elizabeth took over just this year, and that was with their dad and I sitting down and talking about it just to make sure. But as soon as Elizabeth and I get married, she very much will be the one that gets to sign for everything, because we, when I say we, like their dad and I, we're full-time working parents.
Yeah.
And she is now the full-time stay-at-home parent.
Okay.
Who does a million more things than I do outside the house.
Yeah, 100%.
But I was at home for 13 years, so I can realize, I know what that job is, man. It's for real. So we do the co-parenting. Like we have a group text chat.
Yeah.
And it is called parental units, like Elizabeth named it all special. And throughout the day, we will all just text together, and she'll update on what's going on with the kids, and he will jump in and be like, hey, this is what's going on in my life. So we very much are on the page of, since Elizabeth's here with them full time, she is going to be able to sign the papers and all this stuff. And if they decide to go on like a summer camp, I think that we all sit down and talk, and then it doesn't really matter. A signature is a signature. I think if we're all on the same page. Yeah.
If there was one, let's say that one sticking point came up and you can't compromise it out, who has the veto?
Me.
No, and that's such a hard place to be, though, because like I love the fact that you and Elizabeth and your former husband all have that combination, but I tried to do that with my last relationship, and it really didn't work for us. Like I put her being a step parent above me being a parent, and that didn't work for me. And so ultimately, my daughter has 2 parents. She has an awesome mom and an awesome mommy, and that's all she needs. And yes, I would love a partner in the process, but I don't need one, and I don't need somebody, it's so hard to find that perfect balance.
It's rare.
It's rare. So rare.
What we have going on is super rare. We totally understand that. And I think the only time that I would have a hard time with it is if a new woman came into the picture and wanted to be called something like mom.
Yeah.
And I would probably
There's already enough moms here.
There's enough freaking moms going on,
Exactly.
My mom wanted us to call my stepdad Dad, and I never did. And but I love the man. His name's Kent, and I came up with my own little names. I'd call him Kenterific or Kentastic. But still, even though my dad and I've had a strained relationship off and on, and a good relationship off and on, I still couldn't use that name for anyone but him. And
I completely understand.
Megan and I have decided that too, that we're not going to have any other moms. It's always going to be mom and mommy.
And
cute
and
names
PC,
like Nene or that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, again, the half hour goes by like that. I hate even cutting the conversation off because it's just rolling and everybody's having a good time. But before we have to go, Candice, where can people watch your videos? What do you have coming up? What little projects? Where can they get your new greeting cards that are amazing?
Thanks. So,
oh my God, they're beautiful. I have them pulled up right here. Like, they're freaking amazing. Hold up. Let's make sure that everybody gets a chance to see. Like,
exactly.
Oh my God, they're amazing. Like, look, does everybody see this?
I designed
they're
gorgeous cards and
nicely done.
Invitations and baby shower stuff. It was just kind of I have so much fun designing my kids' birthday parties, and I go all out, and I make the bottle labels and everything. I just do everything. And so I've had people say, I would love it if you would help me with this. You should do this. You should do this. And then one of our siblings, a donor sibling, his mom, does a little side business like this on Etsy. And she said, let me help you get started. I think you'd be great at this. And so I kind of just picked it up, and I'm so busy with it already. I just started, but it's fun. I design, if you have an invitation for baby showers or birthdays or Christmas card or something, Halloween, you can send me your ideas, and then I put something together, and then you can buy it. Or if you want to buy an idea that someone else has used in the past, I've had quite a few people really like the baseball one that I made for my son.
Where can they check them out, Candice?
It's called Candice Cards on Etsy. So it's CandiceCards.
I love it. Everybody check it out. She's been doing some really cute, amazing stuff on there. Really creative.
And if you're watching this after the fact, I'm going to make sure that Stephanie, hi Stephanie, yep, I'm watching you. You have to put the link to this in the description, so in the comments,
thank you.
Down.
And also always check over at Candice's YouTube page at the Barretts, BERRETTS. She hasn't done tons on there lately, but we've been talking, I know, behind the scenes, and she's got stuff rolling out to you guys.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, as always, Candice's videos are always on point. So Qualky Talkies, we'll see you on the other half of this hour. If you're leaving us and you I know you loved the show, it was so much fun, but you just can't stay, then thank you for tuning in. Next week, we're going to be talking about, do we really need mom friends? And what happens when you're the one that has the kid out of your group of friends? And how do you maintain those friendships still? And we're also going to touch on, what do you do if you don't have any friends around, and some moms who are feeling isolated and or depressed. And we'll be bringing on a psychologist to help us answer all of these questions and more. So that's next week. Grab your coffees, grab your cocktails. Qualky Talkie members, we'll see you on the other side. Bye, everybody.